Hey boys and girls, welcome to tonight's flip video. It is a review of simplifying fractions. We have done this in class, we have done this in a video, but I think it was helpful to get a review going for you guys. So let's get rolling. Alright, so the first thing I like to remember when I'm simplifying fractions is that simplify has an F in it, which means we're going to use the greatest common factor. One thing I've noticed in the past is students mix up when they're doing least common multiple and when they're doing greatest common factor. So there's a little clue for you. So we have 30 over 45 or 30 45ths, difficult fraction to work with. So we're going to simplify that down, make it a little bit easier to work with. So we've got 30 and 45. Now this is the process where we ask ourselves, does 1 go into 30? Of course it does, because it goes into every number. So 1 and 30. Does 2 go into 30? Yes, it does, because it's an even number. 2 and 15, we can count by 2s till we get to 15. Or we can find out what's half of 2, or half of 30. 3 goes into 30, because that's one of my basic facts. 3 and 10. I know 5 goes into 30 because it's got a 0. 5 and 6, and then I stop because my 6 is there, so I don't have to check any more factors. Pretty straightforward. Let's try the 45. 1 and 45, obviously. I know 2 can't go into it because it's not an even number. To check if 3 goes into it, I'll add up these digits, which will give me 9, so I know that it will go into it. So 3, and then I can count by 3. Well, I know 3 times 12 gives me 36, so another 3 would be 39, and another 3 would be 42, and then another 3 would be 45, so that would be 15 threes in all. 4 does not go into it because that closest I can get is 44 or 48. I know 5 can go into it because of the 5. 5 and 9. 6 can not go into it. 7 cannot go into it. 8 cannot go into it. So there's all of my matches. So they've got a 1 in common, they've got a 3 in common, they've got a 5 in common, and they've got a 15 in common, which is a factor you might not see all the time. So I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 15. 30 divided by 15 is 2 because I know 15 is half of 2. Now you might not know 45 divided by 15 off the top of your head. What you can do is use your factor chart to match it up. So 15 matches up with the 3, so it gives me 2/3. Another way, when I was doing the video initially, I had 30 over 45. And I realized they had a 5 in common, so I divided by 5, which would give me 6/9, and then I know a 3 can go into that, onto both of those, which would then give me 2/3. So 2 different ways to get there. Using 15 gives me the most reduced right off the bat. So now it's your turn. I've given you 28 over 48. I want you to simplify that down for me, and try it now. Alright, so going through the process, I need my greatest common factor, 28, 48. 1 obviously goes into it. 2 goes into it because it's an even number. Counting by 2's would give me 14. 3, let's check. That gives me 10. Not one of the numbers that it goes into, so 3 is not going to go into it. 4, I know 4 times 7 is 28. 5 cannot go into it, 6 cannot go into it, and 7 is there. Now for 48. 1 and 48. 2 and 24. Let's check 3. Gives me 12 when I add it together, and then when I add 1 plus 2, that gives me 3. So I do know 3 is going to go into it. So I've got a 3. I've got to figure out how many times 3 goes into it. 3, do a little long division here on the side. So 16 goes in 16 times. I learned something new today. 4 does go into it. 4 goes into it 12 times. 5 does not. 6 does. 6 times 8 is 48. And 7 does not go into it. Let's look for my matches. 1, 2, 4. That appears to be it. So I divide. 4 over 4. 7 over 12, and 7 and 12 have nothing in common, so that's how I know it's more simplified, which is a really good point, because 7 and 12 have nothing in common. That's how I know it's most simplified. If it were to have worked out as like 8 over 12, I know they're both even numbers, so I could simplify it more, but nothing goes in common with 7 and 12, so I know that it's most simplified. Which brings us to our last point. This is your final fraction to simplify. It is 15 over 33. Solve it, simplify it, and I will see you in the morning.